Good morning. It's November the 18th, 2015. Time to kick off another trading day. I don't enter the market with, a very strong opinion this morning. There's really not a lot of news overnight, nothing out of Asia. The markets were mixed. Europe was lower. Asia was lower. When I looked this morning, the E-mini was rallying. And the dog of the equity market starts in the United States. And if it's going to reverse, it usually reverses in Europe on London time. So equities around the globe were off a little bit. Our market was, when I looked this morning, was basically unchanged. The knob spread has strengthened. But there's not going to be a lot to drive today's trading. Biggest news overnight remains with the terrorists. Germany is admonishing people not to gather in groups, to keep ever vigilant. I think there was a medical ambulance found loaded with explosives at the soccer match that was canceled yesterday. Paris, there was an early morning raid. I think 2 or 3 people were killed, 7 wounded, several taken into custody. And again, it's amazing how quickly enforcement agencies can move after a crime has been committed. And unless you detain people preemptively or you have an informant, it's hard to know exactly when or where it's going to happen. And we face the same stuff here. In fact, I'm really surprised we haven't had major attacks in the United States yet. All the alerts and all the flags are being raised for Thanksgiving in New York in the New Year's celebration. There's a lot of stuff coming out that they anticipate an attack on our soil in that time frame. I sure hope they're wrong. Housing starts up 1.162. Okay, in economic contraction, they look at starts. That number beats projections. It is taken as better than expected economic news. We have seasonals where the northern tier states, they like to get foundations, holes in the ground foundations poured in the fall. They get them enclosed so they can work on them over the winter. So sometimes we have seasonal skewing on starts. Permits are 1.15 million. And when the economy is growing and expanding, they focus on permits. That shows you what's coming. The starts are already assumed. Crude inventories up 2 million barrels. That would counter last night's small draw on the APIs, but it was the first draw they said they'd had in 8 weeks in the APIs, and that's supposedly what has rallied crude. And then the biggie will be FOMC minutes, which comes at 1 today for the October minutes, and where they'll try to get a read on how strong the Feds feel about the economy, how nervous they are about the economy, etc. So what do we have today? We've got resistance at 24 to 28. That's sell 1. I don't think we have news or anything to take us higher. Sell 2 will be the buck, basically to 04, so 31s to 03s. The buy side, I'm going to take it down a little bit because the E-mini was showing strength when I looked at it. Buy 1 will be 13 to 17. We'll put a question mark at 21. And then 5 to 9 will be buy 2. Knob spread did strengthen overnight. Right now, the knob spread has come down this morning. When I took it, we were at 7, so we've come down 4. So we are getting some selling pressure in the 30-year. Okay, looking at the 30-year, last rotate up was 29. We have the high of 02. We're currently at 24. So 27, 31, very, very aggressive. And then we'll make it 7 to 11. We'll lean against this high over here for sell 2. On the buy side, trying to trade lower. We'll make 13 to 17, let it go a little bit lower for buy 1, and then 1 to 5 for buy 2, lean against the buck. Basketball season's getting underway for all of the, especially important with our northern tier states where you get locked in hockey and basketball carry over the winter. Add some spice to your life, so to speak. And last night everybody was tuned in to see Duke in Kentucky, and Kentucky, I believe, was ahead when I scanned the headlines when I left last night, so I imagine they won. And I didn't see what was happening with Kansas, which is a heresy in our state. The news gets out on me. Things could get tough for Charlie. Okay, gold, this 72.50, so 70, 72, sell 1, and 75, 77, sell 2. As long as we stay below 72.50, this market can sell. Next stop would be stops below 50. On the buy side, we've rejected prices beneath 64. Got a low, so we'll make 60, 62, buy 1. I'm going to put a question mark at 65. Pick up this area right in here. Then 55, 57 for buy 2. Looking at the euro. Okay, sellers into 107, and we had a 690 107 sell yesterday. I believe that was our number 2 point. Yeah, 90, so that looks still good this morning. Love our number 2 points, and it allows them to get stops above the obvious. So we on the buy side, Asia held the market 35. We're at 69, so 40 to 50 is buy 1. Do not like the buy side all that much. And then if we take out today's lows, and there's not a lot of news today, so 106, 106.10 for buy 2. We'll play for that. Lean against 106 in anticipation of some short covering there. Okay, crude. Big strong rally last night, supposedly due to the APIs showing a draw. Might be true. But we had a very, very strong close yesterday. We are in the January contract right now. If your data doesn't look right, switch to January. It will expire on Friday the 20th. Most institutions and larger players have rolled today, and if they haven't, we have on our data. So if your crude looks funny and if you're not getting the data you need, you got to take it to the January contract. 42.04, 50's the high. Last rotate up stopped at 44, so 42.50, 75, sell 1. 43, 43 and a quarter, sell 2. Looks like we're coming down. 41.50, 41.25, buy 1. And then 40.75, 41, buy 2. Okay, the ES is interesting. It's the play last night again was in the 2060 calls. That's fairly consistent. 2,000 puts were where the action was. Lot of open interest at 2075. And option, we'll start to see where the roll's going to go today and how they're going to play it. And option expiration almost always brings a rally in the E-mini. So we've got a seller above 60. We can see that. Right now we've got a buyer against 40. So 40.45 is where we should see support, and 60.65 is where we should see resistance. And we're currently at 51. Last rotate up yesterday in K was 58, then 58.50, then 59, and then we had basically at 60. So I think we can get stops above the overnight session high. So I'd like to get it done against 60, so we'll make 58 to 60 sell 1 with a question mark at 55. And then our 63.65 for sell 2. On the buy side, 45.43 buy 1. Then 35 to 40 for buy 2. Okay, starts plus 1.162 on an annualized basis. Permits plus 1.15. Atlanta business inflation plus 1.8. And again, when you look around and you see what we're undergoing right now, stagflation is where we are. We've got inflation no matter what the government tells us, and we don't have very strong economic growth. And it's being sold to us as this is the new norm, which is what they do when they can't, when the statistics, they can't change them, can't whip them, pencil whip them, then they come out, it's the new norm. And it's just the nature of the beast up there. It is really, all data is questioned these days. We really can't count on anything being true. Now usually they'll come back behind the scenes and they'll clean it up, but that takes time to come out. But as far as the release goes, it's really self-serving. It's almost propaganda. And I think if you look back at it historically, you're going to see that a lot of what was fed to us after 2000 will be in the form of propaganda by our ever benign, all-encompassing government. And that's a shame. It's just hard to put up with that. Okay, it's going to take a bit to get everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that. I will be back with you ASAP.